Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Big Chris TV here, and today I wanted to demonstrate a proper way to run Shack Pallet in Dead by Daylight. Now, there's many variations of it, but the many variations always include two things: a pallet and a window. Shack is damn near on every map with the exception of very few, such as RPD and Larry's Memorial. There's not even a variation of it. It's just those are different kind of maps. They're indoor maps. On every outdoor map though, there's most definitely a shack. Most shacks contain either the basement or a hook on one of the corners of it. It's very easy to find out if the basement's in it. As soon as you run in, you'll see a stairway leading straight down to the 4 hooks, which is a very scary sign, so you gotta be careful. There can also be a generator spawn in here, which can get in the way of looping, and you gotta play around that. It could also be beneficial, and you could use it as cover depending on the killer you're playing against. And in this variation in the shack, we happen to not have a generator in it, and we got a hook outside of it, so that means there's no basement there. We are also going against a Legion. The Legion is not typically someone to be scared of, especially at the shack. The only thing Legion has going for it is a moonwalk mind game, which can be very successful if you are not paying attention. And right here, we're looping around, and we're gonna track him right here at the window, and he's gonna follow me all the way to the door and then keep his red stain there and moonwalk back. You as a survivor have to know to be patient and wait and watch that red stain. It'll show up again here in a second. But let's continue on. When looping Shack, it is important to know that the entity blocks the window after 3 vaults. And if you're able to break chase, the window will not block, and therefore you can get more than 3 window vaults at the window. It's very hard to do, but once you master it, it is a really good feeling, and you can always get a lot of killers off guard with this. Also note that once you throw the shack pallet down, it becomes very dangerous to loot there. So you as a survivor also have to remember that you can't be there for too long, as because a killer's bloodlust, which increases every 15 seconds, which inevitably makes the killer faster, you're gonna eventually get caught unless you force him to vault a window or break a pallet. Or also hit you, but you're trying to avoid that, so you're not going to get hit. You're going to do one of the things I just said. Also notice that when I'm running Shack, I am going from loop to loop. I'm not just staying at the one area, which is why a perk like Windows of Opportunity is very useful to have. It'll let me know what I have around me, where I can try to head to next, and what I can use as a possible resource. And even with Shack Pallet down, it's still a very safe area to run to, since the killer has to make a successful mind game and or be right on your ass in order to down you, because if you're at that window, you're technically safe. That's just an FYI. In this next clip, we will be running an Onra, or as I like to call her, the Ring, because that's just what I know her from the fucking movie. We're gonna loop around the whole map and get the shack and show you how to interconnect windows like a true fucking mastermind. With a combination of patience and knowledge, running the shack against any killer, you will almost never go down and end up getting the killer really frustrated, or either making the killer waste entirely too much time on you and they are forced to give up on you, or else they're gonna lose the game themselves without a doubt. And that's just because you're using all this knowledge and power to keep them on you for as long as possible. Hook states are very important in Dead by Daylight, and if a killer knows you're on death hook and you're at Shack with a pallet up, you have to do your best to just keep him there for as long as possible. That way, the killer will eventually just lose the game. Right away, she started off with a window vault, which definitely caught me off guard. But what you can do as a survivor is also pretend to vault a window and bait the killer, like I just did a second ago. It's not always gonna work, but when it works, God, it fucking works. And right here, I got hit with the mind game because I simply got caught up in the movement that she was doing. One mistake that you're gonna make quite often when looping is assume that they're gonna make the same mistake more than twice. If they make that mistake twice, they're more than likely not gonna make it a third time. And if they do, well, they're just a fucking goofball. Straight away when I came to the shack, I noticed this L wall. Now with these L walls, it could be a nightmare for a killer, especially with a shack like this. The way it's structured, the way it's laid out, the killer cannot catch me unless I make a huge mistake, which is not gonna happen since I am on my shit, of course. But that's besides the point. We're interconnecting the loops with each other and making it impossible for us to get hit. And eventually she's just gonna give up because we wasted entirely too much of her time. And even with 3 people alive only, we were able to win this game with 3 people escaping. That one death does not mean we all died, except maybe for that person. Shout out to Lonnie for sticking around to the end. As I mentioned earlier, I was talking about a red stain. Every killer has a red stain, with the exception of Tinkerer or certain killers to have 0 terror radius like Michael Myers. At the end of the day, you're looking for the same thing every time you're at Shack, which is the movement, where they're going. Once you lose track of the killer, it becomes a 50-50 guess. And a lot of the times, you're gonna get hit. It's very rare for you to get away in situations where you lose sight of the killer. Right here, I lost sight of the killer, backtracked me. I tried a window fake and it didn't work because that was the second time I tried it. The first time it worked, the second time, it obviously is not gonna work because they're ready for that. So you can't lose track of the killer because you don't want them to have that over like the edge on you. They'll destroy you that way. And a lot of your chases won't last as long as you'd like them to because you put yourself in a 50-50 situation at the safest spot on the game or in any map typically. Also, as I was saying before, even with Shack Pallet being gone, it is still a very safe area to loop at because you can interconnect loops with one another. So in a second, I'm gonna head back to the Shack and you're gonna see how crazy it is to loop without a pallet and how unsafe it is. But high risk means high reward. You gotta remember that when playing this game. So even though you may be thinking this is a kamikaze ass idea, it's gonna pay off in the long run. Although I do not win this game like I did the other one. When a killer vaults a window, they become locked in a position, and a lot of the times you either have to wait for them to get out of there to see where they're going, or just assume that they're gonna follow you. And if you assume that they follow you, a lot of the times they're gonna have a mind game up their sleeve and be ready to hit you. So what you have to always do is keep running and never lose sight of the killer. Right here is not a safe place to be, so I immediately throw the pallet and run away. The Shack is a safe haven, especially with the window being on a very, very good side, and it leads me to so many other places that I can run to. You do not need a pallet in order to not go down. What you need is a lot of windows and a smart mind. If you don't have a lot of windows at hand, you're gonna eventually go down, but you can still stall the killer for as long as possible, even without a pallet. As you can see right here, I'm waiting right there in the middle and you can see the window and the door. If you keep doing those things, she's going to have to keep trying to guess if you're gonna make a mistake. And being forced to make a mistake is a lot harder than you think, especially when a survivor is ready.
You better run like a bitch trying to shoot you.
Well guys, that is definitely gonna be it. I just wanted to give you a couple bit of my secrets on how I make my chases last so long, and how I can make Shack Pallet into a complete safe haven. I'm gonna also be adding a new killer to this series. I was thinking of doing maybe the doctor or the artist next in my looping series. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys learned anything or found anything useful, please let me know. It lets me know to make more videos like this to help educate you guys, because I know that it's making your gameplay better. And all I want to do is make you guys play better and have fun, because this game is one hell of a game and it is fun as fuck, especially when you're doing good and the killer cannot catch you. Anyways guys, that's gonna do it. Like I said, I hope to see you in the next one, and have a blessed day. I love you all. Thanks for coming.
It already stink.
Not around here, partner.
Not round here. Not round here.